So Android 10 is finally available for Galaxy S9. I recently reviewed this phone for 2020, and this update has changed this phone enough to be in a completely different space right now. So is this phone still worth picking up in 2020? With Android 10, yes, it is even more worth it than it used to be in, I think, 2019. Other than the features from Android 10, this has gone through a fairly noticeable visual update with One UI 2.0 as well. One of the most prominent features of One UI 2.0 is gesture navigation. With this update, Samsung has brought the Android 10 style gesture navigation to Galaxy S9. You can still use the traditional home or swipe style back, home, and recent keys. But with the new gesture navigation, you can swipe up for home, swipe up and hold for recents, swipe in from the sides for back, and swipe in from the bottom corners for Google Assistant. Due to the Android 10 gesture navigation, the one-handed mode that you could enable from the bottom corners, it doesn't work the same way anymore. As I said before, that one's reserved for Google Assistant. Instead, you can enable it with a swipe down from the bottom bezel. I don't necessarily mind the gesture and how it works, except when I'm using the YouTube app. See, the thing is, YouTube uses the same gesture to actually dismiss a currently playing video. Like, I was in a regular habit of using that gesture. As of right now, I'm still getting used to the fact that when I swipe down, it goes to one-handed mode instead of dismissing the video that is playing right now. But I'm trying to get used to swiping down from near the edges instead of the middle of the display to stop the video, and that does not activate single-handed mode. Also, gesture navigation only works when you use the Samsung launcher. If you use something like a third-party launcher such as Nova Launcher, you are stuck with the button-based navigation style. I really appreciate the idea of having more quick setting tiles on one page. I know this is a very minor update. The tighter grid of quick setting tiles in the notification panel is definitely something that I really appreciate. I like having all my quick setting tiles in one page, and that was not possible before this. One of the most significant UI level upgrades you get with Android 10 is a system level dark mode. Samsung already had a dark mode in Android Pie, but this implementation, it is baked into the system such that other third-party applications can actually see this setting and change the theme accordingly. Samsung is also added the ability to enable and disable dark mode automatically based on sunset or sunrise, or you can define a custom schedule based on time. There is a setting that says something to the effect of make the wallpaper dark when in dark mode, but that doesn't seem to be doing anything from my testing. It would be perfect if there was a way to automatically change wallpaper when dark mode is enabled. Just saying. One UI 2.0 actually brings a screen recorder functionality that's baked into the system level and can be accessed from quick setting tiles. Other than recording your screen at 1080p, you can also record yourself using the front camera and annotate on the screen using your fingers. This is a great screen recorder, but do you know what would have made it better than just great? If it allowed you to record your front camera and your screen simultaneously, but in separate files, so you could access them and edit them later the way you want to. I know most people will really be happy with what they have offered here, but I think they could have taken it one step forward. But hey, I'm happy with the screen recorder. Let's talk about a few applications that have gotten some changes. Some might be good and some might be just completely useless, so I haven't used them a lot. The Dialer app actually has a tab dedicated to show local businesses in your area. I've not used it in the past and continue to not use it in the future. Visually, the launcher from One UI hasn't changed a whole lot, but there are some improvements for one-handed use. For instance, the folders open in the lower half of the display. In the settings, you can also enable swipe down for notifications. The camera app has been updated to make it more customizable. Although similar features for customization were available in the older app as well, but this time it makes it more front and center. On Galaxy S10, this update, One UI 2.0, actually brought the ability to shoot slow motion selfies, but that's not available on Galaxy S9. I don't know how much are you going to miss that feature. I'm not going to miss it at all. Comparing photos from last version of this application to the newer application, there isn't really a whole lot of difference. Maybe there's an improvement with the night mode, but I could be completely wrong. On Android 9, the night mode would push your photos through a very aggressive noise reduction algorithm, which would produce very soft looking pictures. But that has been improved this time around. The final pictures retains a lot more details, kind of reminds me of night mode on Google Pixel devices. Along with a Pixel-like night mode, there is also a Pixel-like digital well-being app that has been added to One UI 2.0. This feature was originally introduced in Android Pie by Google, but this was not introduced to Galaxy S9 until now, which is Android 10. One of the simpler features of this app is to monitor your phone usage. Using this feature, you can set timers for certain apps, and when the timer runs out, the app will be grayed out on your launcher and will require you to disable the timer to use the app again. With digital well-being, you also get focus mode, which is like do not disturb on steroids. When turned on, almost all applications on your phone are disabled, and it lets you use only a certain group of applications, which can be configured in settings. Everything except those applications will remain hidden for the duration of focus mode. You can configure 3 different profiles for focus mode, which means you can have 3 different profiles with their unique group of apps that are allowed. With my phone setup, I don't really allow a whole lot of apps to send me notifications and get me distracted, and I try to push them away into folders as much as possible, so this is something that I haven't really found a use for. But I can totally see how majority of people would definitely benefit from a feature like this. Samsung has also updated device care for Android 10. There are a lot of features that have been added to this app for this update, but I think one of the most prominent features is battery usage for multiple days. This way you can track apps that are draining battery over multiple days and get rid of them if you think it's not worth it. Other than that, they've also added an adaptive power saving mode, which basically monitors your phone usage and changes the power mode depending on what you're doing on your phone. I've been using it for a few days and it seems to be saving a little bit of battery life when phone is in idle. This phone is not good with battery to begin with. It's Galaxy S9. It was never good with battery to begin with. This update alone doesn't make it a battery champ, but it's nice to know that this phone will not drain 20 to 30% overnight. One of the reasons that I like Samsung is because over the past few years, they've tried to push features to their phones that will make people use their phone for more than just media consumption. One such feature is Samsung DeX. With Android 10 and One UI 2.0, DeX mode can be activated on any Windows or Mac computer. You don't need a DeX dock, a separate monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse to just activate DeX mode. It will work over a regular USB-C cable and a PC as long as you have the Samsung DeX application installed on your PC. Essentially, your phone can turn your old laptop from a decade ago to a somewhat limited but very powerful Android machine. Other than bringing an old dying laptop back from dead, you can use some phone-only applications on PC this way. In my case, I use it all the time to play podcasts from Pocket Cast using DeX dock, while Pocket Cast actually requires a paid account to use it on Windows. For some time now, Microsoft has been developing an application called Your Phone and an application called Your Phone Companion. Your Phone is a Windows application that actually connects to your Android phone using an app called Your Phone Companion. With this new update, Galaxy S9 does not need to install the application from Play Store. Instead, you can access the Windows Companion features from the quick setting tiles. With Your Phone app on your PC, you can access your latest photos, get access to your notifications, send SMS messages from your PC. The new system-level integration on Galaxy S9 allows for features such as screen mirroring and routing calls to your PC. The only issue I see with this application is the fact that Samsung Flow, which is an application developed by Samsung and is available for all Windows PCs. Using Samsung Flow, you can mirror the screen, control the phone from your PC, you can send files back and forth over Wi-Fi, share internet if your carrier allows it, and then there's Samsung DeX, which is literally 10 times better than Samsung Flow when it comes to controlling your PC through your phone. I don't see a point in this. Look, Android 10 has been out for almost a year now, and Galaxy S9 just got it, and that's not a good look for any company. One of the silver lining in such a situation is the fact that all the applications that were compatible with Android 9 have already been updated to be compatible with Android 10 because Android 10 was released for Galaxy S10. So GoodLock 2020 is compatible with Android 10 and it brings a ton of features to this phone that are not present by default. For instance, you can install Task Changer, which allows you to open recent apps in split screen mode by dragging them to either of the edges. When in split screen mode, you can use the middle bar to swap the applications or save them as a pair on your home screen for quick access. You can also pop apps into floating windows straight from recent apps screen. All of that is just scratching the surface. There's a ton more you can do with GoodLock 2020. One of the features of One UI 2.0 that I did not care for when it first came out, but now I've started appreciating it even more, is the fact that you have pretty much an app drawer in your recents. You can use this to open apps and put them into split screen without ever navigating to your home screen. So this kind of like reduces the amount of friction needed to get two apps side by side. After having this feature, I've started using split screen mode way more than I ever used to in the past. There are a lot more updates that were pushed with One UI 2.0 and Android 10. Some of them were too minor to talk about, and some of them were just too useless to talk about. But if you care about them, here's a list of all of them, and I'm going to read them out to you. There is a dynamic lock screen that can change wallpapers every time you open your lock screen. Now there's a toggle for Require Eyes to be open for facial recognition. There's an alternate face that you can add for facial recognition. Calls can now be answered in mini pop-up windows and stay away from your face. There's a little more control on how you provide location permissions. You can have them enabled for all the time, only while using the app, or never. Samsung Keyboard allows you to swipe to type and cursor control by swiping from the spacebar all at the same time now. And the volume control panel has changed a little bit to be a little more minimal. At this point, I know Android 10 will be the last update Galaxy S9 will get. And having used it for some time, I think it's a pretty good $300 Android 10 premium experience that you get with Samsung DeX. Don't get me wrong, I would be very happy if Samsung pushes Android 11 for this phone, but I wouldn't hate them if they choose not to. I think with this update, they didn't hold back on providing features for Galaxy S9 and reserving from Galaxy S10, except slow fees, and I couldn't care less about slow. This phone can do almost everything that a Galaxy S10 can do as far as software is concerned. So is this phone still worth picking up in 2020? With Android 10, yes, it is even more worth it than it used to be in, I think, 2019. At this point in time, I think this phone comes at an amazing value with Android 10, although you're never going to get any more updates, but hey, you're buying a Samsung, you should have known that. Well, that's all I have for you today. And if you have any questions about Android 10, please leave them in the comments below. I will definitely answer them. I got nothing better to do.